All right, let's pull back the curtain on the digital world's most wanted. It's time to meet the real rogues gallery of cyberspace.
So, let me ask you something. When you hear the word hacker, what's the first thing that pops into your head? I'm guessing it's probably that classic movie image, right? A lone figure, hoodie up, in a dark room, just surrounded by all this glowing green code. It's a powerful picture, for sure, but it's just a tiny, tiny piece of the real story.
Yeah, the reality is, it's a whole lot messier. The world of cyber threats isn't some solo act. It's more like this sprawling ecosystem, just filled with all sorts of different players, and they all have widely different skills, different resources, and totally different reasons for doing what they do.
So, let's get into it. Let's meet the actual cast of characters. We're going to break down the whole lineup, starting from the, let's say, entry-level guys, all the way up to the global masterminds. Okay, first up, at the very bottom of the food chain, you've got the script kiddie. And yeah, the name sounds a little insulting, but it's actually pretty descriptive. This is someone who isn't a coding genius. They're not writing their own nasty stuff. Nope, they're just going online, finding code that someone else wrote, and basically just copying and pasting it.
You know, what's really interesting here is their motivation. It's not about the money. For them, it's all about the thrill, the bragging rights, the reputation. And here's the thing you have to remember. Don't let that low skill label fool you. Even a simple, borrowed piece of code can do a ton of damage if a system isn't properly secured.
All right, moving up a step, we have the hacktivist. The name really says it all, doesn't it? It's a mix of hacker and activist. We're talking about people, or even whole groups, who use their tech skills to make a statement, to push a political or social cause they believe in.
Their whole goal is to get their message seen. So what do? Well, they might deface a website, plastering their slogan all over the homepage. Or they might launch a denial-of-service attack to just completely shut down a site they don't like. In terms of skill, they're definitely a step or two above our script kiddie.
Okay, now we're getting into the big leagues. Say hello to the cybercriminal. And you can forget all about thrill-seeking or political messages. This is a business, a very profitable one. These aren't lone wolves. They're often part of organized crime syndicates, enterprises that run just like a real company, with one simple goal: making money.
And what makes them so good at it? It really comes down to one word: resources. We're talking about serious funding, which means they can get their hands on the best tools, the best talent. This isn't just some person in a basement anymore. This is a full-blown professional operation. It is, quite literally, organized crime for the 21st century.
And at the very, very top of the pyramid, the apex predator is the nation-state actor. These are the pros. We're talking about operatives working directly for a government. You'll also hear them called advanced persistent threats, or APTs. And that name is perfect, because they're not just advanced, they're persistent. Once they get inside a network, getting them out is an absolute nightmare.
So what makes them so different? Well, they have practically unlimited resources. Think about that. We're talking about the full weight of a country's intelligence agencies. All the money, all the tech, all the spies, and their goals? Huge. Everything from espionage and stealing industrial secrets to straight-up cyber warfare. They are, without a doubt, one of the most dangerous foes you could ever face.
But here's the twist. Not every threat comes from some shadowy figure on the outside. You know that old horror movie trope? The call is coming from inside the house? Well, it's a real thing in cybersecurity. The insider threat. This is someone who's already on the payroll, someone who has authorized access to a company's systems. And that makes them uniquely dangerous.
And insiders kind of come in two flavors. First, you've got your malicious insider. This is pretty straightforward. Think of a disgruntled employee who wants revenge or is selling secrets for cash. But then you have the unwitting insider, and this one's almost scarier. This is the well-meaning person who isn't trying to cause harm. Maybe they set up their own server to get a project done faster. People call this shadow IT. And in the process, they accidentally punch a massive security hole in the company's defenses for someone else to walk right through.
Okay, so we've met our cast of characters. Now let's talk about their firepower. What kind of resources are we actually talking about here? How does the funding and sophistication stack up between these different groups?
And the difference is just staggering. It's not even a close race. Down at the bottom, your script kiddies basically working with pocket change. Then you have criminal syndicates in the middle with some serious cash flow. But the nation-states, they're playing an entirely different sport. Their resources are completely off the charts.
All right, so we know who they are and we know what kind of gear they have. But that brings us to maybe the biggest question of all. Why? What's the motivation? What's the real driver behind all of this?
And this is so important because if you can understand the why, you can start to understand the threat itself. The motivation behind an attack is what determines the tools they're going to use, the targets they're going to pick, everything.
And as you can see, the reasons are all over the map. Sure, money is a huge one. Financial gain drives a lot of this. But it could also be espionage, good old-fashioned spying. Or it could be personal, like straight-up revenge. Sometimes it's just about causing chaos for the sake of it. And then, at the most extreme end, you've got full-on state-sponsored acts of war.
And this is where it all gets very, very real. Because we need to be clear about something. This isn't some abstract video game. These digital attacks we've been talking about, they have real, tangible, physical consequences in our world.
This quote really just nails it. We live in an age where cyber warfare is no longer science fiction. The digital landscape is, for all intents and purposes, a battlefield. And the fighting there absolutely does not stay digital.
Just look at this, over 200,000 people. In 2015, a nation-state actor attacked Ukraine's power grid. And this wasn't about stealing credit cards or data. This was about turning the lights off. Over 200,000 people lost power in the dead of winter. It was one of the first times we saw a successful cyber attack cripple a power grid, and it was a terrifying wake-up call. The stakes just couldn't be higher. And that's really the key takeaway, isn't it? If you want to be prepared, the very first step is understanding this whole cast of characters, from the wannabe script kiddie all the way up to the nation-state APT, because you simply cannot defend against an enemy you don't understand. So, that leaves us with a pretty chilling question to think about. We've already seen a power grid become a battlefield. So what's next? What other critical parts of our daily lives, our water supply, our communication networks, our transportation systems, what are the battlefields of tomorrow?